need that time to regenerate. You need that time to develop the ingredients so that you can thrive the next day. We've now been caught up in this culture of stress is a good thing. It's a badge of honor. I only get 4 hours of sleep. It's really nothing to be boasting about. The science is very, very clear. You need 7 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep. You need at least 60 to 90 minutes of deep sleep. And if you don't, you're operating at a deficit the following day.
This is such a brilliant podcast episode that we could have genuinely gone on for hours. And I was really mindful that I know you like listening to this show because it tends to be succinct and relatively short compared to a lot of shows out there. But this is Justin Khai, who is such an amazing expert when it comes to how we manage stress and anxiety in our lives. He is within the wellbeing and health industry. He understands this better than any guest that I think I've ever had on. And we didn't even touch on menopause, which we were supposed to do, but we talk around why cortisol is the master of all hormones and how we each individually can help to manage it, why sleep is the absolute pinnacle of our day, why it should be the maniacal, as he says, of our whole day strategy. We talk around leaders, how they manage their stress. We talk around loneliness, what we can do in terms of the next generation coming through. This is just one of those episodes where you can tell when you're listening in now, I could talk about this all day. So let's jump in without further ado. This is Lysha Holmes, and I'm your host on the Recruitment podcast. And I have to tell you, you're in for a treat with this week's guest. He is somebody that I've had the pleasure to have a good chat with offline before I've pressed record. And I think this is going to be extremely useful wherever you're listening now. If you are interested in understanding the holistic approach to your well-being, which is something that I've always advocated and is actually something that can transcend wherever you're sat in your recruitment journey, whether you're a leader, whether you're a recruiter starting out, or whether you've just clicked on this on your favourite podcast channel because the topic appeals to you. And it's certainly something that's very relevant to me right now. I think I might be the target audience. So without further ado, welcome to Justin Khai, who is the co-founder of Rebalance Health. Welcome to you today, Justin. How are you?
Good morning or good afternoon. Thank you very, very much for having me on your show.
You're very welcome. Well, yeah, you've said that with, I'm not sure where you're based, but I know you're over in the States. You're in Colorado, aren't you? I think you might be our first ever.
Yes, I'm in Boulder, Colorado. Used to live and get educated in the UK. Was born in London, and after my A-levels, I moved to America, and I've been here ever since.
Fantastic. Yes, we've had a number of guests on from USA, but I don't think we've had anyone from Colorado yet. And what's wonderful is that we have got a global audience. It's about 50% UK and probably about 25% are listening over in the USA. So hopefully there'll be some people that will recognize you. So you've given a beautiful elevator pitch as to who you are and what you do, but you can have a little bit more time now to explain to our listeners exactly why I've invited you on the podcast here today, what it is you do.
Yeah, I am known for developing products that help enter the body effectively. I did what was initially a national skincare line that is now a global skincare line called Elastin Skincare. I was acquired by Galderma in 22 and has gone global very quickly. And that product talks about how we clear the extracellular matrix in the skin so that your body can kind of regenerate quickly, specifically from wounds that may occur in the body, whether it be from chemo or whether it may be from, aesthetic procedures. And so Elastin is very well known for that. But the reason I bring that up is our first iteration had HGH in it, which is wonderfully utilized in Europe. It's not that well used in the US because doctors are afraid of the systemic effect it has on the body, meaning it can affect everything versus just be localized to a specific area. So we pivoted towards peptides and we developed this product. Along the way, we were asked to look at supplements for hormones. And in that research, I latched onto cortisol. I thought cortisol was the most interesting hormone back in 2019 before it was trendy or people were using it out of context, like cortisol face. And so I did a lot of research on it. And to me, it was the master hormone, meaning if cortisol is not in sync and out of rhythm, it actually controls how much of the other hormones your body makes.
Right.
And so if it is out of whack, it actually can hijack your body and make you not feel so great because your body isn't able to produce the other hormones.
Okay.
Here's the catch 22 and almost the aha moment. You make all your hormones in your sleep.
Mm.
If
Okay.
you don't sleep, you're not making the hormones you need to function the next day.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Really, it's that simple. And what stops you from falling asleep and staying asleep is things like cortisol,
Right. Okay.
right? Is you ever stay in bed and you're thinking, you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do tomorrow? I've got to pick this up. Where are my kids? I've got this to do, this to do, this to do. You just can't turn that brain off. You can't fall asleep and then you can't stay asleep, or you wake up because your brain isn't able to shut off. That interrupts the body's natural rhythm, natural cycle of making your progesterone, your estrogen, your testosterone, your HGH for the following day. And so if you got 50% of the sleep you should have get, you could basically make the assumption, for a very simple analogy, that you're going to make 50% of the hormones you need the next day. So
Right.
if you go back to when we were kids and we were in school and we would pull an all-nighter or we'd party all weekend, we'd be okay the next day
Yeah.
because we were making massive amounts of hormones.
Mm.
And as we age and we've gotten older, our body makes less and less and less. In fact, we make just single digits compared to what we were making when we were 18.
Mm.
And so if you stay up all night tonight,
Wouldn't recommend it.
you're not good tomorrow morning. I'm just going to assume it. I'm not going to say, I know it
No.
would not be so great the next day. And that's simply because you need that time to regenerate. You need that time to develop the ingredients so that you can thrive the next day. And we've now been caught up in this culture of stress is a good thing. It's a badge of honor. I only get 4 hours of sleep. And it's really nothing to be boasting about. The science is very, very clear. You need 7 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep. You
Yeah.
need at least 60 to 90 minutes of deep sleep. And if you don't, you're operating at a deficit the following day. And so, very simple comparison that I like to say is, would you drive your family, your kids, your loved ones from one side of the country to the other on 3 to 4 hours of sleep?
No, of course not.
So why would you run your business that way?
Yeah, it's so true. I have to say that this episode is so apt for me because I've been sober for 9 years and I'm in perimenopause, and have been probably all that time actually. And one of the things that underpins my entire well-being and strategy for life is my sleep. My sleep comes first. Nothing compromises me. And I think it's really quite amusing that you almost use the term badge of honor. But for me, my badge of honor is that I go to bed. I'm usually in bed by 9 o'clock during the week. And I go to bed, I read my book, it's lights out. I mean, I'm an early riser because I like to go to the gym, but I have 7 hours sleep every night. I bounce out of bed. And the people that I coach, I,
Yep.
I strip away anything that they want to talk about with regards to the business. The first thing I ask them is, how was your sleep?
Yep.
So I love that that's our starting point, Justin. This is going to go well. So you've said that cortisol is the master of our hormones. So
It is a hormone itself. So it is a master hormone. Yeah.
master hormone. So I can't imagine anyone that listens to podcasts doesn't already have some kind of knowledge around cortisol. But can you give us a brief definition of what this hormone actually does and then how it can have a negative or a positive impact on us? And is it different whether you're a man or a woman?
Nope.
Right.
And just to really like throw a wrench at you, men go through menopause too. It's called andropause, and they start in their 30s and it ends in their 70s.
So it's not
And
called
it's
menopause because I call my
called
boyfriends his manopause.
menopause. It could be menopause, but the technical term is andropause, and it's
Okay.
men go through it over about a 40-year period of time, 30 to 70. Women go through it from much shorter period of time, typically 7 to 14 years. And that's why the symptoms are exponentially greater,
They're more
but
intense.
significantly more intense, like, 100 times more intense, right? Men may experience 1 to 2% of what the symptoms are from a physiological perspective that is noticeable. But then women also have the wonderful privilege of being so much more sensitive in their nervous system, right? I'll give you a very simple explanation. You know when something is off hormonally in your body ever since you had your first cycle. So
Yeah.
from what, 13, 14, you knew, I don't feel the same. Something's off, right? Sorry, guys, I'm throwing us all under the bus. Men have no clue. First time a man realizes there's something wrong, he can't get it up, and it's the end
Just
of the
about to
world,
say that.
right?
It's absolutely true.
Right. That's the difference because women are so in tune with their bodies because their nervous systems are such a high sensitivity levels. It's dialed all the way up to 11, right? Men's are dialed all the way down to like 0.1. We just don't have the same abilities biologically to know that something isn't quite right. And so when we go through the change of andropause, we don't really notice it other than I can't keep muscle mass on. Maybe I'm gaining weight that previously was able to just shed very quickly. I might be losing my hair, my libido might go, my memory definitely goes, and we get hot flashes, but we don't understand that they're hot flashes. So, whether it's your boyfriend, a previous partner, men throw the covers off. I'm hot. It's your fault.
Right.
It's a hot flash. It's a hot flash. But it's at such a small level that just moving the covers off works compared to women where you could be just drenching and it could be like -2 outside and you're just flooding with sweat. That's again because of the nervous system, why you're so in tune with your hormones and your body just exacerbates all those symptoms. So we get brain fog too, we get word salad, we get all the same symptoms, but it's at a fraction of what women experience. So
Wow.
what is
Educated.
that help?
Yes, I'm making sure I'm recording all this for my boyfriend, but carry on.
So your question was, what is cortisol?
Yes.
Well, cortisol is a wonderful hormone. It helps you with your immune system, your sleep cycle, blood sugar levels. It helps with so many things in the body. It's a fabulous hormone. Almost every single molecule in the human body has a cortisol receptor. So when cortisol is out of sync, your whole body feels it from head to toe, every molecule. No other hormone functions that way.
Right.
Okay, so it's very special. It is your body's alarm system, and people are familiar with fight or flight, right? And they're also familiar with rest and digest. That is your cortisol system. Okay. So,
Mhm.
what is fight and flight? Well, historically, it is our body's alarm system. It is designed to keep us safe. And when cortisol is elevated, our body's in an alerted state.
Yeah.
And typically that's because we're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger, a bear, we're being robbed, mugged, something's happening, and our body alarm system goes off.
Right.
And when the alarm system goes off, it basically starts to turn on and off certain functions in the body.
Okay.
Well, I'm running from a saber-toothed tiger or a bear. Do I need libido? No, let's turn that off. That's why everyone's got no libido.
And even things that I'm trying to think like appetite, drive,
Correct. Metabolism. Do I
Yeah.
need metabolism right now? No, I want to conserve as much energy as I can because I don't know the next time I'm going to eat. So I'm going to store fat.
Which is why women typically get cortisol belly.
Well, it's not really cortisol, Betty. You've got, you've got visceral fat, subcutaneous fat, and basically it is men and women both holding on to fat in their midsection because of stress. Now, think about this. The world and biology has a very wicked sense of humor. We peak in our hormones in our 18 to 20, and then we sustain through our 30s, but around about mid to late 30s, everything starts to drop. And it doesn't drop just a little bit, it just tanks. It just goes straight down, right? And so when you actually need hormones to help you offset the stress and anxiety, right? You're now at an all-time high anyway because you've got kids, they're in school, you've got mortgages, finances, you're at the peak of your career. Your hormones are at the lowest they can possibly be. Your stress is at the highest. It's all out of sync. So no wonder we can't sleep. No wonder we can't do because our stress is so high. And when your stress is super high, you can't fall asleep, you can't stay asleep, and you make all your hormones in your sleep. So the one time in your life that you actually need more and more sleep to combat the stress that you're experiencing, everything's working against you.
Yeah, it's like sleep health is absolutely everything. So the book that you've written, this is Stress Nation.
Correct.
So in terms of it's like a Bible of how to manage stress? Tell us a little bit.
It is a very easy book. I decided to write it as if I was talking to, a 16-year-old, right? So it doesn't use fancy scientific terms and get all crazy. And the chapters you can jump around in. You don't have to read it in order. And I use a lot of analogies comparing where we are today to the 80s.
Great era.
Brilliant era, but it very much kind of contrasts
Okay.
very nicely how life was in the 80s compared to how life is in 2025, 26, 27, right? It is a completely different pace. The way that we communicate, the technology, the tools that are available to us have dominated our biology.
Yeah, and not in a good way, I'm guessing, or I don't know. What's your perception of how we've created this technologically driven world, and yet we seem to be more lonely than ever. We seem to be less healthy than ever. We're getting worse sleep than ever.
Well, it goes back to what you said in the beginning. Stress is not a badge of honor, and it has been worn as one for many, many, many decades. Basically, the pace in which the world operates today is not sustainable for human beings. It's just not. Technology is a good thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm talking to you, beautiful woman across the planet using technology right now. It is a beautiful thing. We were never taught how to use it responsibly because it evolved so quickly. There was no thought in Steve Jobs' head that when I design and invent this iPhone, that it would evolve into this all-consuming device today. It wasn't part of the plan. It has just evolved into it. And then, of course, business needs, right? Profits have taken over as well. So is technology addictive? Absolutely. Has it been gamified? Absolutely. By design to keep you engaged because that's how businesses make money.
Yeah.
And so we haven't been taught to say, wait a minute, is this actually good for me? Is this actually going to help me?
Yeah.
And in many ways, technology has now become anti-productive because as humans, we are not designed to multitask to the nth level that we have today. So if you wake up in the morning and you have 100 credits of attention,
Okay.
social media is taking up 10 credits, and then your email's taking up 10 credits, and then your family and all that is taking up another 10 or 15 credits. And you got these, by the time you've hit 2 o'clock, you're out of credits. And you are so overwhelmed and so stressed that you don't know what you're doing. And so you can't do anything well because you've got your attention split over too many facets, too many variables. It's really important to take a step back and start to prioritize and realize where my attention is needed because you don't have infinite amounts of attention
I
credit.
like that analogy, the credits, that you wake up with this fresh score, this 100, whether it's reverse or whichever way around, that I'm going to
Mhm.
choose where I put my energy today. And I think it's an interesting time because in a way that's where for me AI will take away a lot of those tasks, a lot of those time consuming things. I can just put that into my scheduling, whatever it might be. But actually, it's all the other distractions, isn't it? I mean, I think that social media has been, initially, was it the brainchild of Meta to dominate and, have people doom scrolling for hours and hours a day?
Yeah, no,
I don't think it
no.
was. It was a much
No, it was a simple way of staying connected
more.
with peers in university. That's what the idea behind Facebook was, right? Just to have some way of
Thing.
connecting with others. And the problem is that it doesn't just consume time, social media, it consumes your identity. You're constantly comparing your career, your marriage, your children, your vacations, your fitness, your finances against everyone else's highlight reel. And your nervous system interrupts that or interprets that as everyone else is succeeding and I'm falling behind.
Yeah.
And that creates chronic low grade cortisol elevation, right? Not panic, not terror, but just enough stress to keep you in a constant state of vigilance and like, oh my God, what is going on? And, historically, we had a village, and our village was like 150 people. We had relationships with 150 odd people, right? Today, it's hundreds of thousands, if not millions or billions of people that we compare ourselves even just sitting on the toilet, people are scrolling on their phones, right? And it's just, even though we're so connected, we're not,
Yeah.
because we're creating this dynamic that we're not good enough and that we're lonely. And the more connected we become, the lonelier we've become. It's really that simple.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it? So
Yeah,
what
because the more information you have, the more uncertainty you feel.
well, that is the conclusion that I think I've drawn from today's episodes alone that I've recorded around why people are so fearful of taking the next step in terms of their career or launching a business, and it's because they've overthought everything. So, I mean, going back to what you've said, there's so many points we can pick up on here, but I think it's, bearing in mind my audience who are
Hmm.
predominantly recruitment founders and recruitment fee earners. So they're people who are the job itself is a stressful job. I've always maintained that the job that we do is stressful because it's target driven. It's, your commodity is a person, it's a human being, but actually that is not something, generally speaking, that people who survive their first year in recruitment tend to find is the cause of their stress. It's actually the anxiety comes from all the other bits. It comes from the life bits, like you say, keeping up with social media. So is there a definition between, I guess, what good stress can be and what bad stress can be?
Well, let's put it a different way. Okay. The opposite of burnout, most people would say, is a vacation or a holiday,
Yeah.
but it's not. It's ownership of your attention,
Okay. Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And so you want to take this to recruiting, but let's take it to parenting as well,
Okay.
right? Um, most people are head down in a screen. And then, mommy, daddy, I need you. You look up, yes, darling, whatever. And then back to the screen. All you're telling your kid is that they're not important and what you're doing is more important. And so you don't need unlimited focus on your kids. You just need to put the damn thing away. Give them 20, 30 minutes of your focus, 100%. That does wonders versus a quick, yes, darling, I'm here, but I'm really not.
Mhm.
And so it's being in the moment. So I talk about FOMO and I talk about JOMO. So the fear of missing out versus the joy of missing out. Okay.
I shared a post about JOMO the other day.
Yeah.
Sorry to pause you, but so many people didn't know what it was, and I was like, "Oh my God!"
No, most people don't know what JOMO is.
Right?
And so to me, FOMO is basically living through the most or living through the best moment or believing that the best moment is happening somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
It's the joy of missing out. Something else is happening, right? And so you live as though you're missing out on something all the time. Whereas Jomo is realizing that the best moment is usually the one you're actually in the moment,
Yeah.
right? And being present, right? This is the best moment. Engaging with you is the priority right now. How do you feel when I start doing this?
Yeah. I think. Well,
Instantly
that must be.
destroys.
Well, it's just. Well, it must be very important if it's during a podcast. Yeah, I get what you.
But nothing's more important. And the way I say it is, unless my kids or my wife need me urgently, and there's a way of setting up your devices that only they can get through, even if it's on quiet. Nothing else is important because, I walk into the room like, what am I going to learn from this wonderful human being? Because everyone's got something to teach me. So what is it in the moment that you can teach me? And if I'm not here, I'm going to miss that opportunity to learn from you and to connect with you, right? Looking at you in the eye, right? Because people nowadays, younger generations, they don't know what that connection is. And it's really intimacy. Into me, you see intimacy.
Wow, I've never heard that before. I think people often ask me because I really do share what JOMO is, and it's something that I think it comes with maturity. I think it comes on a life journey. I think it comes from choice, where I choose to not look at other people and covet what they either have or what they're experiencing or what they're sharing. I think it's the knowledge that most of what you see on social media is fake, and knowing that it's fake and that you called it the highlight reel. I mean, I couldn't agree with that more. People are not going to share their shit. They're only going to share the good bits, and just really appreciating life. Maybe it's, losing people, having health scares. Maybe it's all of those things that make you realize that this day, this moment right now is important. Even if it's something that, I don't mean us now, but even if I'm experiencing something where it feels quite a stressful situation, I'd still rather be in that moment because I know I'm going to learn something from it. And I actually think that if more people understood what that really means, what JOMO really means, we would just have more contented people. We're not going to
Yeah.
remove stress from the world, but people will just feel more contented with where they're at and who they are.
Yep.
So I think I'm feeling and hearing everything that you're saying. You talked earlier on around sort of the loneliness epidemic and the sort of the
Yeah.
fact where even the irony is that we're so connected, we can be connected to millions of people at any one time. So
Hmm.
how do we ensure that we're almost checking in on ourselves, that we're not actually isolating ourselves, and that we're connecting to people that don't know how to reconnect to people? Like, what's the first step in that?
Well, it's interesting. We've never had more ways to connect, yet we've never felt more alone. And people assume that loneliness is about being physically isolated, and it isn't. Loneliness is the gap between relationships you have and the relationships your brain evolved to expect
Right.
because of social media, because of the movies, because of content, right? So people always think the grass is greener on the other side, or they're comparing the opportunities and the relationships they have to the ones they believe they are entitled to or expect to. And like you said, social media is make believe, it's fake. And I use highlight reel. Social media is storytelling and telling the stories that you want people to see, not necessarily the truth.
Yep.
If everyone put the truth on social media, no one would go near it because it's ugly and messy and human,
Yeah.
right? My nana used to tell me if everyone put their problems in the middle of the room, you'd pick your own back up.
Of course she would. She was a wise lady, or is a wise lady.
Wise lazy, right? And so that's the thing. So loneliness is weird. And now when you have a dating app in this world, right? Because we used to go out and we got used to walk up and down the high street, hang out in little groups, go to the park, do fun, different things together. And we got a driving license. We used to literally drive up and down the high street, right? We didn't have anywhere to go, but we just drove and we hung out. We listened to music. We went to parties and we engaged with one another. Today, we don't go to the library and to church and wherever you want to go to meet people, bars, you go online. And these apps are not designed to actually help you find love. They're designed to keep you engaged. And by offering up endless amounts of options, you're always wondering, there's something better for me.
Yeah.
And so you never settle and you're
It's
always
like job
swipe.
seeking. It is the same as
Yeah.
LinkedIn, which is, making it relevant to our audience. I think that's the problem, that there are so many recruitment companies out there, there are so many employers out there that people think, and they get headhunters, they get messages, they get in-mails. So I think it's this whole notion of going back to the JOMO thing,
Yeah.
is the grass always greener? Well, no.
Mhm.
But I think it's a really intriguing time for the human race, because I think
We,
we've never gone through this level of evolution so fast, have we? Really, in context, from we you said Steve Jobs inventing this thing to where
yeah.
we're at, it's happened so fast.
Well, you think about anthropology and how anthropologists refer to what's known as Dunbar's number, and they go back to my 150 people in your tribe, in your circle. Today, you've got what, 2,000 LinkedIn connections, 1,500 on average, Instagram followers, hundreds of Facebook friends, but you probably only have one or two people that you could call at 2 in the morning, right? Our brains don't count followers, they count belonging. And if you have, I was always told by my grandparents that if you can count your friends, the ones that you can call at 2 in the morning, or that you say, I need you, and they'll jump on a plane. If you've got more than two or three,
You're
you
rich.
are a wealthy individual
No, it's true.
because
Their grandparents are
that
all
is the
quite well.
connection that we're missing. And the more technology evolves, the bigger our tribe becomes, the lonelier we become because we're not going out to go meet people. We're not engaging the way that we used to. And that's what's really cool about the book because it kind of reflects back. There was a time when we went to the video store, Blockbusters, right? We went and we went.
It was brilliant.
We, we used to go on the weekend to pick one or two movies out. And if you were lucky, that new release was still on the shelf because there was only a few copies, right? And if it wasn't,
Yeah.
you had to wait for it to return, right?
Literally.
Now you just go to any, I mean, literally, you could turn on any device that you hold and watch any movie anywhere
Yeah.
you'd like, whether it be on the toilet, in your house, in the car, anywhere you want.
Hopefully not in
And
the
so,
car if you're driving. No, I
well,
get
if you're in the passenger, the back seat. But the point is that you have so much content. We are just been flooded with information, and that is basically hijacking our attention and our concentration, which is why we're less and less and less productive.
it is, and it's interesting actually because I've done, as you know, I said before we started recording, I've done a whole day of podcast interviewing today. So some of my previous guests, and there was a common theme, which is that we've gone back to, we didn't want to say gone back to sort of back in the day, but the human connection has never been more important in our industry. It's all around, we are human capital. We are placing human beings in jobs. And actually, more and more companies now are focusing in on face-to-face meetings, going to networking events, going to expos, actually pressing flesh, as we call it, doing those face-to-face meetings. And from what you're saying from a neurological and a scientific perspective, that's right, because it will actually
100%.
give us the dopamine hit. Actually seeing somebody that you've built a relationship with on LinkedIn, it's actually amazing to meet somebody in real life, and you get such a better sense of who they are and their culture. And I think this is, this almost completes a full season of this, the podcast, the Recruiters Recruitment Podcast, because that's what I believe my educational piece is. And your book is a perfect, way for, if I'm presuming people can I don't like sharing Amazon, but it's probably the easiest way. If there's another bookstore you'd rather they buy it at, but I think it's having, that curiosity to understand how we can manage our own stress and anxiety levels and keep ourselves holistically well. I can't tell someone listening how to create better sleep health other than what I've done to create mine. But what I can encourage you to do is to be part of something, be part of a community, and reach out to people. And a lot of founders tend to isolate themselves. They think that, well, I can't share that vulnerability, and but they might be the ones that this is most relevant to, carrying all the stress of hiring people and having their mortgages resting on them. But actually, what you're saying here, and what I can conclude, is that there are definitely ways we can reconnect to, and not feel so isolated and alone.
100%. And the book does walk you through how you can get better quality sleep, how you can
Good.
control your stress, what you can eat, how you can exercise. And I demystify all of it. I get asked all the time, what's the best diet? What's the best exercise? It's the one you're going to stick to. It's the one that's going to work
Oh,
for
yes, Justin.
you. So
Consistency.
it's very simple. There's no secret to dieting. Yeah, I mean, maybe it is. I'll give you the secret. Consume less calories than you burn. There you go. Consume less calories than you burn. That's the diet. How many diet books have been around, or different fad diets have come and gone in the past 50 years?
Oh my
It's
God.
basically immeasurable. It's ridiculous. Farm to table. That's what it's about. Fresh food. That's it. Mediterranean diets, farm to table, and consume less than you burn. Exercise, lift weights, and walk.
Love
That's it.
it.
It's that simple. Lift weights. You need to strengthen your bones. Osteoporosis, you do that by lifting, putting them under load and weight. I'm not saying lift ridiculous weights. If you feel like you can, great. But essentially, you need resistance training and you need to walk. Why walking? Simple. If you run, you burn muscle. And you want to keep as much muscle as you get older as possible. In terms of sleeping, you are 100% correct. You have to be maniacal for protecting your sleep. And that means a lot of people have to make some compromises. Drinking alcohol at night, everyone thinks is a sedative. Well, within a few hours, it becomes a stimulant because it converts to sugar. And that's why after going to bed, after a glass of wine, you might wake up a few hours later and you're wide awake. Alcohol's the reason. But we become entitled. I'm an adult. I've worked hard. I've deserved this. That's fine. But understand there's a consequence associated with that. Having a heavy meal or a late meal is going to be a problem. Why? Because you're aging. Your body can't hold on to it. You're going to need the bathroom. If you're going to need the bathroom at 1 in the morning, you're going to wake up, you're going to have a cortisol spike, and it's not going to be great. You've interrupted your 7 to 8 hours of sleep that you need. So there's a reason we have dinner earlier and earlier and earlier as we get older. There's a
Really
reason for it.
do. When
Really that
I go for,
straightforward.
when I go for dinner with my friends, I book a table for 5:30, and we're all like, "Yes, we can be in PJs for 8. Brilliant!"
Exactly. I mean, our grandparents were
Oh,
right.
they were
They were,
right. They
we
were
made
right.
fun of them, but they were right. Go have an early dinner. Have most of your fluids before lunch, have a little bit after lunch, but try not to consume lots of fluids in the early evening because it'll wake you up. Your bladder will say, I need the bathroom. You'll go to the bathroom and you'll be awake again. You want to try and go to bed empty of food and fluids with a clear mind, not watching a horror movie or something silly. I would, be wired. You couldn't go to sleep. So the older you get, the more strict and diligent you have to be on your routine. That's the secret. Use your brain. It makes sense. It's not magic. It's very straightforward.
Yeah, this has been so brilliant because it's universal
It
and
is.
I'm living this book. I'm living proof. People say to me how, because I am in that gym every morning at 6 a.m., not at the weekend, Monday to Friday. I bounce out of bed. I'm not saying it's perfect every single day. And you know what? Sometimes I don't have a great night's sleep, but you know what? I don't beat myself up and I go right back to everything that you've said. And the walking, I mean, to me that's like this magic pill that everybody has access to wherever you're living, wherever you're
Yeah.
listening. Make time to go and have a walk and see the daylight every day, you
And
know
leave the phone behind. Leave the phone behind. And I've
or
had
raw
so many
dogging it, isn't it? Raw dog it.
Well, yeah, I find it hard to raw dog for 15 minutes. It seems a little wimpish. People are raw dogging 18-hour flights. But essentially, yes, the whole idea is leave it behind. Don't have anxiety. The phone is a convenient tool, not your slave. You don't want to be a slave to it. If someone texts you,
Mm,
you do not have to respond right away. We've trained ourselves to be like, I have to respond right away.
exactly.
And we have to let that go. It's a tool. You use it at your discretion when you feel the timing is right for you. It's time to regain your life and not be a slave to technology. And getting up and going for a 15, 20-minute walk every few hours and leaving the phone behind, it's so liberating.
But you know what? It's thinking about this because we are the same generation. Even 20 years ago, you didn't take your phone with you everywhere. You just didn't because you had a phone and that was it. I also have set my phone so only my daughters and my boyfriend can contact me as emergency contacts. I would encourage all of you to do the same thing so that you can put your phone on do not disturb. And physically, this is what I do when in the evening I go and put my phone on charge in a different room.
Yep.
It's on loud, so if my daughters ring me and they need me, it's usually, I don't know, they want some money. I'm joking. Then I know I can answer it if they need me. But then you can read a book, you can listen to a record, you can put the telly on, watch a film, whatever it is you want to do. Just have some peace and quiet, sit and talk to your partner. The world is not gonna have gone anywhere. It's still gonna be there waiting for you. I
100%.
love that that's your advice, Justin, because I think if we can I always say these episodes, if just one person makes the changes and if just one person gains some control back to get their mental and physical well-being back on track because of what you've shared today, then I've done my job. So it's been
Thank you.
great.
Well, I can give you one other tip that might help. Remove social media completely from your phone.
Yeah.
Not from your life,
No.
from your phone.
Okay.
You want social media, you sit at your desk, you have your laptop, your computer, and you access it. But it stops you from doom scrolling. It stops you from picking up that phone because you think you're bored or you're missing out on something. And here's the crazy thing. When we were kids in the 70s and the 80s, when we were bored, we were creative.
Yeah.
We built a fort, we rode our bike, we went and we engaged with other people. We figured out a way to entertain ourselves. In today's world, if you're bored, kids are grabbing screens.
No, I agree with you.
And
God,
so it's very, very important to recalibrate because we want creativity, we want innovation, we want ideas, and we don't get that if we're constantly doom scrolling. So I encourage everyone, remove social media from your phones. Be purposeful when you go and look at it because you're looking, yeah, I want to be entertained for 15 minutes. I'm going to go to my computer. Great. But, how many people I speak to say they sit on the toilet and their legs go numb because they just sat there for 45 minutes doing this and they realize, oh my God, I just wasted like 45 minutes doing nothing.
I agree
Get
with
rid of
you
it.
totally. I actually allow myself, I learned this from my boyfriend actually. Because he retired, he did 30 years in the police, so he retired very young at 52, and he removed social media from his phone, and he sets himself like 15 minutes a week to log back on and have a little doom scroll. And I was like, that's a really good idea, because then you're not missing out, but you're not spending hours of your life every day. So I allow myself 15 minutes on a Saturday where I'm like, right, come on, Reels, what have you got? And it's brilliant. And I share it to all my friends, do whatever, it's usually recipes, to be honest with you. And that's it. That's all I've done. I mean, LinkedIn, I do have on my phone.
It's
Um,
a career. It was, again, it's part of
career.
your business, it's part of your career, and there's nothing wrong with it. Um, it's really trying to figure out how do I not scroll the length of the Eiffel Tower every day, which is on average what everyone does.
Wow,
They
that's so
scroll the
interesting.
Eiffel Tower every day.
Do you know, I tell you a very sobering thought that I'm going to challenge everyone listening to do. My same boyfriend, he'll never listen to this. He sent me a message the other day to say, "You're 19,000 days old today." And I was like, "Oh, thanks for that, bud. Really appreciate that." But actually it made me think that's really sobering, because how many days have I got left? I don't know. And actually that's when you can really mathematically say to yourself, right, how many more of those days do I want to spend scrolling on social media? Because I bet nobody listening will go, I don't want to give a whole day at all. Because how many days
No, well,
left?
in the same vein, the average teenager spends 6 hours a day on social media, on their phone, doing stuff. And when my kids went to university, I said, you're going for 4 years. Please don't spend 1 year of that time scrolling, playing games, because that's what 6 hours is. It's 25%. 25% is one full year. Dad doesn't want to pay for uni for one full year for you just to sit in the corner and be scrolling and looking at
On
videos.
TikTok. Wow. Wow. That is actually a really depressing thought, that that's the world that we've created for them. That's
It
what
is, but it's not too late. It's just a
that
matter of education. It's a matter of context. It's a matter of perception, and being able to explain things in a logical manner is what the book's about.
is. Yeah. Now we've finished in terms of the chat, but I always do this when I have a guest on from part of the world that I've never been to. Give us a 1 minute. Why should we come to Colorado?
No, you shouldn't. You should stay where you are. Avoid Colorado like the plague. It's horrible here.
Thanks for that. Great, Justin. Great. He's definitely not working for the tourist board. It's because you don't want any more people to come. That's why. You want to keep it all for yourself.
100%. We like the quiet.
Yeah.
We like the nature, and we don't want more pollution and more aggravation. So
Yeah.
yes,
Great.
protect the little spots that are wonderful.
That's a great answer. Thank you so much. You've been a really super guest, and we'll make sure the link is in the show notes for your amazing book, Stress Nation. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me.